Hello and welcome to Google Classroom training video on just the classwork section inside Google Classroom. So again, we're going to have a side-by-side comparison with the teacher view on the left-hand side and the student view on the right-hand side. You can pretty much look it over. I feel like this is the time I should be singing. One of these things is not like the other, but I will not be singing that for you. I will spare you. But there is so very little difference between the two. And I'll kind of point the most glaring one out is the plus sign to create. Students do not have the ability to create assignments. They only do the work. But of course, as a teacher, we have all the topics and listed down here. And as a student, we have all the topics listed. Everything else is pretty much the same. There is one small difference here. View your work is the ability for the students to click on that and to see at a glance what work they have to do. Again, I was just recently made a student in this class, so I'm a little behind on my work, so don't judge. But this also gives them the ability to see what's assigned, what's returned with the grade, and what is missing. So if we head back and we still continue to compare, you also see that the grades is also available in the teacher, just like before, and not available in the student. But everything else is the same. The student over here doesn't have very many choices when they click on the hot dog. They can only copy that link. And then when you're a teacher over here, you have the ability to actually rename the topic. They can delete the topic. They can copy the link to the topic, or they can actually move the topic down. Or in this case, when they click there, they can move it up. But guys, you ready for this lovely new invention that they just pushed out? You can actually click on the topic and move it up that way. Oh, it's wonderful. So that is the basics of the real difference between the two. So let's go ahead and examine a little bit deeper the topics section of classwork. This is a very personal area, so every teacher's different. I'm going to give you some suggestions, but please feel free to create your own. So this is how this particular teacher organized her topics. She just put them in very basic categories. Students can see them, easy to see, they know what to click on, that sort of thing. Over here, I've made some slides to show you a little bit more examples. So you could actually organize by week. Week 1, and then the dates, week 2, and then the dates. This is great, very organized, very clean, very easy to read for the student. However, it can get very, very lengthy, especially if you have a number of weeks in the year. In some cases, you could do a 9 weeks, so you do all 9 on one, and then do another Google Classroom for the second 9 weeks, another Google Classroom for the third 9 weeks. Everyone's a little different. Here's another option, organizing by unit. So you could do literally unit 1, unit 2, that sort of thing. And yet another by subject or topic, water cycle, biomes, that kind of thing. File type, which is interesting. So you could do any assignments, they go under this topic. Any materials go under this topic. Even if you don't do the file type, I actually really like having a materials file so that they know their syllabus, their any basic information that you're passing out as far as just materials would go under that. So now that you've planned out exactly what topics you're going to have, go ahead up to the Create button, click the plus sign, and go down to Topic. It's as simple as typing in your topic there and hitting Add. One hint that I do with mine is if I want my topics in a specific order, I put 1 dash and then the name of the topic, 2 dash and then the name of the topic, and that keeps it in order over on the side. Okay, so let's get down to business. You have got your topics all set. Let's go ahead and start creating an assignment. It's as simple as clicking Create and clicking Assignment. I'm going to go through these others, but spend very, very little bit of time on them because they are a little bit more challenging, can be, and a little bit more difficult, but I would recommend definitely you starting with just pushing out an assignment. So assignment is literally pushing out a piece of work, whether it's a YouTube video or a Google Doc or Google Slideshow, having them watch it, do it, create it, collaborate on it, whatever, and then hit turn in, and it actually comes back to you. Let's continue on down. Quiz assignment actually is wonderful for pushing out exit tickets and quick quizzes, tests even. However, it does tend to get a little bit more difficult to create because what you're doing is it's actually creating a blank quiz for you. You go in, work on the quiz, ask the questions. So it actually requires that you go into Google Forms, which is yet another something to learn. So if you're very confident in Google Forms or you want to go and try it, go for it. It's awesome. Because it grades for you, it pushes the grade back. It's a beautiful thing. But again, I would not let this be one of the first things you create. And then the next thing down is a question, and that is like a discussion board of types. It pushes a question out. It could even push a video out and then ask a question, and then the students would almost discussion board-like talk back and forth. Again, requiring a little bit more prior knowledge on, managing the students' chatting and that sort of thing. Then material is beautiful. Material and assignment would be the two that I would start with. Materials are literally just the syllabus, a link to the portal, directions on how to use the portal, directions on how to use so that sort of thing, just basic materials. It's no assignment, no grade that's attached to that. So let's go ahead and create an assignment. Again, remembering that we constantly want to keep in mind that we want to create assignments that are inside the Google playground. So Google Slides, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Form, those sorts of things. If you begin to create an assignment and you attach a Microsoft Word document, you're only asking for trouble. Students can Some of them can open it, some of them can't. When they open it, it looks weird. They cannot type on it. So it's just an awkward thing. You definitely don't want to use Microsoft Word or PowerPoints, that sort of thing. You can use PDF. So if you've got a good PowerPoint, you really don't have time to change it over, make it into a PDF and attach that, remembering that all they can do is look at it. So if you have a document that's a PDF, you want them to read an article, remembering that all they can do is read it. Then your second sheet that you would attach would be a Google Doc, asking them questions, that sort of thing. So let's go ahead quickly and create a quick assignment. I have an Achieve article that I'm going to push out. The students were given the Achieve article to read, and now they're going to go into a thought question. So I would put my directions here. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the 2 documents that I need for this. So again, remembering they've already been in Achieve and they've read this article, then they're going to come here and do this assignment. So I'm going to hit add, and I have all kinds of things I could add here. In this case, I'm going to add something from my Google Drive. I could add a link, another website for them to go off to. I could add that PDF file right here, and I could add a YouTube video, which I actually will be doing that in just a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and click add and go to my Google Drive. And I'm going to type in here to go find it. In this case, I believe I was just in it. So there it is. It's just walk out thought questions. It's a Google Doc that asks some questions and has them go through some steps. Beautiful first example. So notice over here on the right, if you go far to the right, you'll see several choices. At this point, if I just stopped and hit say assign or save it, then I would have every single student be able to only view that document, which is great, fine. If it's a PDF, that's all it is. You won't get these choices. Students, if you hit the caret, can actually be given the rights to edit that file, or they can actually be given the rights to make a copy for each student. So let's talk about the edit piece. You can only imagine if you actually created this document in Google Docs and you said all students can edit this file, everybody would be typing on top of each other, big old mess. But you could go down, or you should go down in this case, and click Make a Copy for Each Student. What actually happens, and again, these only appear if it's a Google Doc or Google Slideshow. It will not appear for a PDF, and it will not appear for Microsoft Word docs. So I've got a Google Doc. I have pushed it out or attached it here, and then I have said, hey, Google, make a copy for each student. That will happen automatically. It's a beautiful thing. So let's go ahead and add a YouTube video. And again, you always want to make sure you've checked out the YouTube video ahead of time. It is appropriate and it's the perfect one. You know exactly what it is. Grabbing the URL is always best. In this case, I'll just go ahead and put the paste the actual title in there and hit search. And this is it. But I double check. I always double check to make sure this, yep, this is the 2-minute one I want to give them. Yep, that's it exactly. So I'm going to double click, or I can click it one time and hit add. And there it sits. So essentially the students, and this is how I would adapt or change the instructions. Please watch this YouTube video and then complete the thought question, something like that. So I am all set with the actual attaching of documents. Now we're not done yet. Let's pop over here to who we want to push this out to. I have the ability to push it out to all of my classes by clicking this down arrow and clicking on whichever classes need to see it. At this point, I'm just going to keep it with intensive reading. I also then have the ability to push it out to all students. Beautiful thing is I can push this down arrow and actually select students. So that's your differentiating. You could send this particular thought question or work activity out to 4 or 5 students and then send another activity out to another 4, group them like that. So again, it depends on how you want to do points, but I'll tell you the difference between points and ungraded. Points just assigns them a grade, which is fine. You can also do an ungraded, or you could do a 1 point or 2 point, however many you want to do it. Ungraded, just literally, they do it, it's a check mark kind of thing. They do it and they're done. Due date is interesting. So due date, if you are fully, absolutely going to embrace the calendar using Google Calendar, and your students are going to be embracing it, your parents want to see the due dates on things, you might as well go ahead and put a due date here. But because we're more virtual learning, students have the ability to a little bit more flex time. If you nail them down to a certain date, the actual assignment closes down on them. So it's totally up to you on how you want to do that. You can just skip that. And topic, you actually want to then go and put it in the actual topic that it goes on. Or at this point, if you forgot, you can actually create a topic. So that's where that goes. And then this rubric is a whole nother video all on its own, but you can attach a rubric. And there is a brand new piece called Originality Reports that we will not talk about in this video. It is very lengthy and long and really cool. So let's go on. I'm done. I have done everything I can. I kind of double check to make sure everything's set. All things good here. I know who it's going out to. I literally could hit assign. The reason why you don't want to hit assign at 8 o'clock at night or whatever night or time of day that you created for the kiddos, know that those students will get a ping on their phone or their device or an email to say, oh, there's a new assignment, and they will jump right into doing it, which is fine if that's what you want. But if you would rather schedule it, you go over to this little caret, click down, and you can actually schedule it for an exact time and date to drop. So I'm going to hit cancel in that case. You also, I don't know if you noticed over here, you can actually save a draft thinking, oh, I'm not quite sure how I want to word this, or I'm not quite sure done with this. So I'm going to save it in a draft. In this case, I am not going to hit assign or do any of these because this is not my classroom. The teacher has already done this. So I'm going to go over and show you the student view. So now I've switched over to the student view, and you can pretty much tell that right away because there's no create button up top here. So as a student, I'm going to scroll down and find my work. It's under the Achieve. I'm going to click on it. There it sits. I'll just click one time. And there's the assignment. It's pretty much the same thing I just showed you. It's got the YouTube video, and then it's got the document. Now notice something very curious here. The document that we actually attached was called Achieve, Just Walk Out Thought Question. It was actually attached, and we told Google to make a copy for every student. And it's gone ahead and put our name on it. So in my particular case, as the student, it's gone ahead and put my name on it. So no longer will students have to worry about forgetting to put their name on their papers because Google now does it for you. So in this case, they could sit and watch the video, and then they could do the assignment. Click on it here. If they actually want to see the whole assignment or view more details of it, they can click on View Assignment. And it opens up just different options, like you can actually have a private conversation with the teacher and ask them questions. You can actually do your work here. You can watch the video from here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click to open. So once open, just to point out a few things to you. First of all, it definitely is named for me, so that's great. No one else can get in here. It's just me and the teacher that can actually see my work or type over my work. The teacher's done something really unique here. So she's created the thought questions, and then she's actually created a place and said, hey, start typing here, just to kind of give that student that so they're not going here and doing fancy, crazy things. And she's actually created them a little space right here. Now, I'm having problems doing the work on here, and that is because this assignment is late. She had it locked down to certain dates, and it has locked me down. So if I was a student and I got into this, I could actually request edit access so that to say, hey, um, Miss Hamill, is there any way that you can open up this assignment for me because whatever the situation is, and then you hit the send request. She then gets it on her end and says, oh, I'll cut them some slack. So there's a unique piece that's positive about using the calendar and setting up that due date, but then you also run the other end of this where you might be getting a lot of students that are requesting access late. Um, love the feature. But that's then if I finished it, if I did have access to this and I finished this complete worksheet, I would actually, right where this says request edit access, I would have a button that says turn in. I would click that button and it would automatically turn it into my classroom. So all my work would be done, just ready for grading. So after that work is completed by the student, let's take a look at what the teacher does with it. So again, on the left is the teacher view. And in an effort to keep Mrs. Hamill's students' information private, I went ahead and did the rest, this next piece in screenshots. So I hope you don't lose much in this explanation, but I actually think I've done a pretty good job of trying to kind of get the essence of the grading. And honestly, the best thing to do is have this video, open side by side with your Google Classroom and kind of walk through the grading. Have one of your teammates go and create assignment and go grade it and kind of go through that whole, it takes practice and kind of seeing where everything is. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I think the best way to do it is to just make a full screen. So this is what Mrs. Hamill sees when she goes into her classroom. This is the front page. And there are two places to find the grades as your students. Actually, I could go as far as to say three. One is the instant a student grades or completes something, you get an email about it, which can be a mess because there's just lots of emails flooding in. I have a trick, and I will let you know once we get to the end of this video on taking all of your Google Classroom email and putting it all into one little folder. Automatically, Google does it for you. So, but to get her grades on what she's needs to grade next, she can go to that email. She can also go to View All. That opens up all her assignments that she has to grade. And then she can also go to Grades. When she goes to Grades, she actually sees this, and this is the grade book of sorts. And she can click on right up here, any of these, that these are all hot links to the actual assignment. Once she clicks on these, and just to kind of show you around, I've got them blanked out, but these are all her students here, and so this is their work. So if one does one, she's just graded that separately, she could just go and click it in there. But it's so much easier to grade than just clicking them all in here like this. So what you would do, if this is the one she's going to grade, she would click on that, and it would take her to this screen. And this would show that she has 9 students that have turned it in, 5 that she still has it assigned and they're still working on it. So again, these are the students over here. This is just kind of a bigger picture of just that one particular assignment in the grade book. So is that students' work. What I love about this feature is, and it's kind of hard to see, but all of these thumbnails are the 9 students that have done the work. So these are the students' names here I've covered up, but this is their work. You can see that they've turned it in, that sort of thing. So then what you would do is click on the 9. Click on those because you're like, I'm okay, I'm at the point, I'm ready to grade them. So you would click that, and then you would get into this particular student's work. That would be the first person that turned it in, the first one to grade. You would grade his work or her work, and you could easily write a private note to the student. The student could then write a private note back to you, so you have that piece. You could go ahead and grade it from here. You could write comments because you have edit rights in here, so you could edit and fix and write comments. You could go so far as to highlight the word or highlight the phrase if you want him to pull or expand more, that sort of thing. And then you can come up here to the comment box and actually leave a comment that is pre-programmed. So you could actually pre-program in some very specific comments that you use quite frequently. And then all you're doing is clicking on that and it feeds it there. It's a great thing. So, and then this is covering up the student's name, but you could actually click to see this piece right here in a larger setup. So it makes it actually bigger. So then if you're done with this particular student's work, you would hit return, or you could hit, this is one option, you would hit, you put the grade in, and then you'd hit return. Instead of getting pushed out and having to go back out and click on the next person's work, you actually have the ability to go on to the next student's work. So then you would click on that arrow and go to the next student's work, and it would look very similar. You would grade it, put the grade here, add any comments you needed here, and then hit return. Go to the next person from here, grade it, and hit return. So great. New within the last 3 to 6 months, probably, this grading piece. It's made things a whole lot easier. Again, the best way to test this out is just to give a very sample piece of something to do, a journal entry, or watch a video and have them do a summary, something like that, and then have them come in and just kind of test it out that way. So as promised, this is a Gmail tip that will actually help your Google Classroom function better. It will save you so much time in minutes. It'll shave minutes off of your just checking your email daily. So we're actually going to shift gears. And I'm going to have you actually open up Gmail. Once you've got Gmail opened up, you're going to look for the cog in the top right corner. It's a settings link. Once you click on that, you're going to actually look for Configure Inbox. You're not going to Settings. You're going to go to Configure Inbox. What that's actually going to do is open up something that looks like this. Now, currently, I have all of mine checked. If you want to come and join me on the productivity bandwagon, you are certainly more than willing to check all of them, try it, just live with it. Understanding that if you don't like it, all you do is you go back up to the cog and you click on Configure Inbox, and you'll get this again, and you just uncheck these. So what these do is the primary button takes all of, and if you hover over it, it tells you the different people that it will, the examples of what, and it pulls from your actual email box. So these are all person-to-person conversations. These are real live people that are in Clay County schools, real live human beings, not businesses, not promotions, not groups of people, just human beings. To me, I love this because it says to me, primary, that's number one. That's what I'm going to be looking at first. Social takes all the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of your Pinterest, all of your YouTube, anything, and puts it into social. So again, it's there, but you don't have to look at it. It's not in your face all day long. Promotions is wonderful. It takes all the junk mail or all the different promotions that you might have that come through and puts them over in one area as well. And this is where the magic happens as far as Google Classroom. The updates, if you have that clicked, then, and kind of follow with me over here to this picture. This is the top part of my email box. And once I click all of these open up, and they're called inbox tabs. And then what happens is all the mail goes into primary and social and promotions and updates. So all of your classroom mail will actually start appearing in updates. It keeps it out of your face. It keeps it out a little bit. Now, you have to check it, or you have to remember to kind of go over to it. But let's be honest, the majority of that, you're in Google Classroom and you know there's grading to be done. So you don't necessarily need it to clog up your inbox. And then forums. So if you hover over forums, forum takes all the DL lists, all the district lists that we have, and puts all those in one area. So some people do not like to have forums checked because they forget they're there, and those are important. They come from your school or they come from the district level. So, but honestly, I actually have just kind of conditioned myself. I keep them all checked. So all of these and the starred in primary, and I hit save. And then if you'll notice, when you get to my inbox, it actually separates all those different pieces. Wow, it's been 25 minutes. That was 25 minutes of pretty intense stuff. My guess is 25 minutes ago, you had no clue that Google Classwork section of Google Classroom was as powerful as it was. The ability to create content, push it out to your students, have them work on it, push it back to you, have you grade it, push it back out to them. Pretty powerful, all digitally. So there's some really neat stuff inside Google Classroom. This is the engine of Google Classroom. I would definitely recommend you start small. Just push out a video to your students, push out a good morning, how you do an announcement, that sort of thing. Start very small. A huge thank you to Mrs. Hamill for letting me totally, absolutely, completely use her classroom, not only as a student, but also as a teacher. She just has really extended herself quite a bit, and I thank her for that. Guys, again, thank you and take care.